Salvete omnes. Today, hodie, we are going to learn about the perfect and pluperfect passive voice. If you can remember, we recently learned the perfect and pluperfect and future perfect active voice. And who can remember when we were using the active, what principal part formed our stem? Bene! Pueri puellaeque intelligentes. It is the third principal part. Well done. Well, all right. Now we're going to learn how to say those same things, but in the passive voice, where the subject receives the action. All right, let's take a look at our goals for this video. All right, by the end of the video, debes posse form the perfect and pluperfect passive of all verbs. Every single one, if given their principal parts. Recognize the difference in meaning and form between the perfect system active and passive. So how do they look different in Latin, and how do they function differently in English, right, when we translate them? And say more cool things in Latin, like the Retiarius was killed by the Murmillo in the arena, or Keller had been defeated by no man before he was defeated a Aquario. All right, moving forward, let's learn how to say these things. All right, so retrieval. Oh, we already did this, but a chance for more recent retrieval. Anyone know the answer to that first question? Third principal part, yes, conjecta. Guess. What principal part will we use to build the perfect and pluperfect passive forms? Primus, secundus, tertius, quartus? Nicely done. It is quartus, the fourth principal part, the only one we haven't used yet. So, as this is the final main verb tense and forms we will be learning, makes sense that we're finally going to get to that fourth principal part. All right, can we remember how we translate each of those principal parts? It's a good time actually to review, right? So we have learned a base translation for that principal part, right? Amo, I love. Amare, to love. Amawi, I loved. And amatus, having been loved or loved. All right, so that's going to be our base. All right, moving forward. Ooh. Oh, no, wrong direction. All right, core building blocks of the perfect passive system. So, retrieval. Oh, we already did this. I forgot what my sheets look like. Yeah, so having remembered how we translate amatus, how are we going to translate deletus? Having been destroyed or just destroyed? All right, so keeping in mind, right, we start with these four forms of capio. We have our perfect passive, is the tense we're going to start with first. So instead of capi, which means I captured, I want to say I was captured. So we start by knowing we got to take that fourth principal apart, coptus, and bring it down. Coptus, coptus, coptus. In the plural, it's going to become copti, copti, copti. Notice second declension, masculine singular endings here. Now we have second declension, masculine plural endings here because we're talking about plural subjects. But we need to add something to this, right? Because as of now, there's nothing distinguishing first, second, and third person. We need something that can give us personal endings. We're not actually going to get it from this fourth principal part. So we got to add a whole nother form. And it's going to actually be similar to in English when we use forms of to be to complete the passive voice, right? We don't just say killed, we say he was killed. We don't just say loved, we say you were loved, right? When we want to use the perfect passive in English. We're going to do the same thing in Latin. So what we'll see is rather than use our traditional endings, we're just going to add on the forms of sum that we've already learned. So we've already learned these forms. So if you have the four principal parts, you've got the first part of the verb here, coptus, captured, and then you have the second part of the verb from your forms of sum, which we've already learned. So there's not really too much new learning together. It's just remembering how to connect these two old pieces of information in your brain. One other thing that you might be leading you to scratch your caput is the fact that I just changed the endings on coptus to copta here and copti. I did this not to confuse you, but to make sure you realize that the gender is changeable. If it's a woman talking and you want to say I was captured, you would say copta sum, as opposed to a man who would say coptus sum. Okay? Similarly, a group of women would say copti sumus, as opposed to a group of men who would say copti, I with a macron, sumus. Okay? So I just wanted to mix it up and give you the feminine version of these verb forms as well. All right, so a reminder, how are we going to translate this? So if it was I captured in the active, how do I change that in English to the passive? Think about it, and then I'm going to give you the answer. Pause the video if you need more time. I was captured. Okay, so I captured is the active. Capi, copta sum or coptus sum is I was captured. Okay? The final gender that you can also see, and you're most likely to see it in the third singular, is coptum sum, which would be it was captured, as opposed to coptus est he was captured or copta est she was captured. Okay? Now that we've dealt a little bit around with the tenses, that's our translation pattern. Subject was verbed. Let's do some practice on your own. All right? I know this is probably a little bit shaky. The trickiest thing for most students is realizing that we're not going to translate sum ss, sumus est sunt as present tense in this verb form, right? I'm not saying I am captured, because what tense is I am captured? That is the present tense in English, right? You're saying that it's happening currently. I am captured, I am being captured, right? So that would be capior, capitor, right? Would be he is captured. So we can't be that, right? So that's one way to remember. So that copta est can't be present tense. It's actually the perfect tense. So he was captured. Okay, and that's one of the tricky things. Let's try a little translation practice now. So you do it. Facitis. Facitis in. Oh, sorry. Take a second to do these, and then I'll type in the answers for you, all right? Pause the video if you need more time. The husband was lost, right? Perfect tense. Amisus agrees with its subject, maritus, and gender and number. So maritus amisus est. So we want to think of this as one big verb form, right? Naves adificatae sunt. Underline the part of that's the verb. This whole big unit here, and that's going to be, ships were built. And then petiti estis is y'all were sought. Okay? Something to keep in mind here is that another way to translate this is actually much like I could say I have lost something and have that be perfect. I can say the husband has been lost as well. So keeping that in mind, what's the other way you can translate the ships were built? The ships have been built, or y'all were sought. Y'all have been sought. Okay, so two different ways to translate this perfect passive tense. Ships were built, ships have been built. Up to this point in time, ships have been built. So that's the perfect leading right up to the present tense. The husband has been lost for many years, but maybe he's going to show up right now. Okay, it's more in reference to the present than this translation. The perfect is. This is again really an English distinction between two possible usages of the perfect in English, and it's just Latin was a little bit simpler. You just had one tense. You just had one formation that covered both of these tenses in English. All right. Moving forward. Change the tense of sum forms to get the pluperfect passive, right? So the reason why I'm putting these two in a video together is because they're really similar to each other in their formation. So if I wanted to make these forms farther in the past, what do you think might you change logically? Take a moment to try and deduce this. Genius point on the table. I'm not there to know, but you know it in your hearts if you get it. All right? In tuis cordibus. Capta sum. Am I going to change the capta or the sum? And how might I change them? Pause the video if you want to try and think of it on your own for a little bit longer. Otherwise, I'm moving forward. All right. The key thing is, if I want to change this, the thing that I can easily change its tense with is sum, right? I can just make sum imperfect instead of present tense, and that will make the whole unit seem farther back in the past. And that's what the pluperfect is, right? It's the farthest event in the past, something that happened before a perfect or imperfect tense action. So there they are, right? Same thing. You go to the fourth principal part. It could be captus, or This could be capti, captai, capta. But instead of sum ss to sum, we add aram, aras, arat, aramus, aratus, arat. Okay? Now, if caperam, remember how to translate that? Capio capere, to capture, right? So caperam is, pause the video and try and retrieve this. I had captured. What will capta eram be? I had, it's passive, been captured, right? Now the I needs to be receiving the action rather than doing it. All right, so you're going to see here a sub-translation pattern, subject had been verbed. Okay? Let's just close with a couple quick exempla. Patria a Horatio servata erat, and fabula a poetis narratae erant. Take a minute to pause the video if you want to try and do these on your own. Otherwise, I'm going to just give you the answers. Okay? Here they come. So a reminder, a plus that ablative is ablative personal agent. It tells us the doer of a passive action. So the fatherland had been saved. That's our big verb right there, right? The erat tells us it's pluperfect rather than servata est, which would be perfect. And then we have narratae erant here. They had been told. That is the pluperfect, okay? All right, I hope this was helpful. And you have a chance to now work with these ideas on your own in the online exercise that is posted on the portal page. Okay? And we'll talk about it more in class. Habete unum bonum noctem, right? Dormite bene.